Righty-ho! It's Tuesday, it's cheese night, but it's Charlie Turnbull. So where am I? Let's get rid of this, let's get this thing. Everyone wants to see me, everyone knows that. Okay, me, well done. Okay, tonight is Cheesemaker special. We have Julianna Sedli, or Sedli, depending on whether you're Hungarian or English. And we need to get some few announcements out there first. Okay, firstly, congratulations, Tracy. You are a grandmother. Is it Abigail Matilda or Matilda Abigail? Matilda Abigail, weighing in at a very small 8 pounds. We can sort that out. We'll send some cheese over. So congratulations, Tracy. So I'm on my own tonight, except for Julianna. So let's go find her. Okay, Julianna, where are you? Poof. Hello.
Here I am. Hi, everyone.
Nice to meet you, Julianna.
Nice to meet you, Charlie. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So I'm looking behind you. I'm thinking, where are you? North Somerset?
I'm at home in Wiltshire.
Go on, give us 12. Show us your house.
Oh, well, the house... Okay. So this is the front garden.
Oh, that's a classic little house. Everybody wants to live there. That's one of those cottages all those second homeowners secretly want to retire to.
Nice. It is nice. It's countryside. It's wonderful.
It's proper countryside. Now I can see cows behind you. Are those yours?
The cows are the farmer down the street, and he has beef cows. So he has Angus and I think it's Hereford. Help me out with pronunciation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and these are the mothers with their little calves.
Okay, so they're youngsters, this year's.
Yes.
So they're for the pot at some point. They're not cheese-loving dairy cows.
No, but I'm sure they will have their saying during this little enterprise, because I can hear them moving around.
Oh, we like a little bit of background agriculturalness.
Yes, there it comes.
So we've got lots of people. Hello, Jane. Hello, Anna. Hello, Alison. Hello, Jesus. Hello, Trotsky. I thought he was dead. There you go. And welcome to the UK. Welcome to Talking Cheese. But Julianna, you come from across the English Channel. What was your starting life?
I was born in Budapest, Hungary, and my family has been in farming for generations, long time. Arables and chicken for meat, and before that horticulture, and so on and on. So I went to pursue that in university. And after my year, I saw, well, I did see, sorry, the screen disappeared. I did see an opportunity to apply for an internship program and into the States. And it was the agricultural area of states like Ohio and Indiana, Kentucky, and various options like greenhouses, pig farms, arable farms, and the goat cheese farm.
Had you made cheese for this point?
No, never. No, I just loved eating it. I had always, and Hungarian cheese are, yes, at that point were pretty boring, because you had Trappista or you had the farmhouse cheeses, which are literally a little old lady at the market selling her own cheese after she milked her one cow. So it's a fresh hard cheese, and it's usually flavored with onions or garlic or pepper and that sort of things. But I loved it. I was always big fan of cheese. And we have the Paranica, the Slovakian smoked one. That's really nice. Sheep milk usually.
Say that again.
Paranica.
Paranica.
Yes, it's like a snail. They roll it up and they smoke it, and it's quite delicious. It is.
Cool.
They do it commercially now quite a lot, and it's also made from cow's milk as well as sheep milk. But traditionally, it's sheep.
Is it a soft cheese?
It is. Yes. So they do strings. I'm not entirely sure how they do it. They have strings, and then they roll it up into a snail, and it's called Paranica. So we'll have to show some pictures or look it up, or I'm not very good at the technical part.
I need to know. Snail cheese. That is definitely a new one. So if anybody out there has come of Paranica, snail cheese,
yes,
we need pictures. That'd be awesome. So, but I mean, I've been to sort of not Hungary so much, but further south to sort of the old Yugoslavia, Serbia, that kind of thing, and frequently came across sort of old Ford Transit flogging cheese out the back that they'd made themselves.
Made themselves, yes, it's very, very typical. Yes, now it's changing. We're growing in selection and in terms of numbers of cheesemakers. So it's all probably a little bit behind England, quite a bit behind, like 5-6 years. But we're growing, we're getting there, and there's a lot of cheesemakers and interest in turning milk into cheese, and we have lots of support from the government and lots of organizations like Academy of Cheese. We have the equivalent in Hungary, and lots of support and technical support available. So things are growing, looking up.
I briefly worked with Francis Wood at Allen Wood Farms. Do you know who that is? A bit south of you, but not very far. And she got buffalo from Romania, not very close to Hungary, but they have a big buffalo milk cheese thing happening in that part of Europe. Is that something that was in Hungary as well?
I'm not aware of buffalo, no, but mozzarella is very popular.
Mm-hmm. Well, those buffaloes are very difficult to kill. You can eat them. They can pull your cart. They were sort of the most multi-purpose of all of animals. So it's probably why they're sort of popular with smallholders. All right. Anyway, let's get on to what you do. So you went to the States. I've got you down here as working for Capriol. Capriol? Is
yes,
that right?
Capriol INC with Judy Shedd. Yes, they were making about 21 different type of cheeses, fresh chèvre and flavored some, and mold ripened cheeses and hard cheeses, 2 different kind. One is a wash rinds, one St. Francis, and hard old Kentucky Tom is a penicillin rind sort of cheese. Lovely cheeses for America.
That's where you cut your teeth on cheese making.
Yes. I just eased in, and hard work to start with and
so
learn.
Let me guess right. You'd never made cheese before, and now you're making 21 cheeses.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Easy.
No problem.
What I'll do now, I can do that by the end of the weekend.
Sure.
Right, and you came back to the UK, and where have I got you next? I've got you. You went to work for
Neals Yeard. Yes, that was my first thing in England. I actually flew over for a trial day, which was really, really fun. I flew over. I did an hour and a half washing up in Covent Garden in the sink, and then I did an interview with a friend, and on my way back to Hungary. So it was just like pop across for a bit of washing up, and off you go. But I got the job. And it was
shows
great
commitment. I'm not sure where the green footprint for the washing up thing goes. Not so good nowadays. But you got the job.
Yeah, I got the job, and I did usually cheesemongering at Covent Garden. And when I was popped down to the cheese shift, I met Mary Holbrook, and that's how I ended up at Mary's farm. After probably about half a month, I met her, and she offered the job, and straight away I was ready to go. But I had my half a year to spend at Neals Yeard, and then moved on to Mary's farm.
Well, she's a legend in her own dairy.
Well, she is, yes, in a dairy and in person, everything, yes. Yeah, she's a great...
So that's Slight Farm, which is where you are now, probably about 15 miles further west, something like that?
Yes.
Slight Farm is just under Bath, right?
Yes.
Those
You
people
just
who don't know.
Go across Bath from where we are, straight across, and there's Mary, about 20 minutes from Bath.
Yeah, I used to live there, just after... Anyway, previous wife. So where do you go then? Then you went down to Roger and Pete at
Pete and Roger, yes, White Lake cheeses. And again, they were already making probably 15 different cheeses. So there was quite a bit to catch.
Particularly Pete can't help himself. He has half a day off and he makes a new cheese.
That's about sums it up. Yes. Yes, that was quite hard work, and again learned a few things. And then I decided that I would really like to do my own cheese. And I worked for Pete and Roger 2 days a week. And I had a day and a half at the Wootton Organic Dairy with David and James. David and James and Bartlett's. That's it, Bartlett's. And they kind of let me.
Well-ish.
Yeah,
we used to buy their cheese. So they're Wootton Organic, just north of Shepton Mallet, still very close to you where you are now. Best known for their sheep's milk cheeses.
Yes. But they also had a few Jersey cows, and that was the interesting bit. Yes, and they let me take about 60 liters a week and turn it into cheese, and that's when I started making Baronet. And they were very, very kind, super kind. They let me take the cheese when it was ready to the farmers market and see how people react and what they think. And at that time there were Neals Yeard Dairy as well, tasting, and Bromwen and Randolph used to come down and do a little bit of cheese making together. And then we established that the cheese can sell. So I was looking for milk supply. And when I was doing a farmer's market for the Bartlett brothers in Corsham, I met Nestor Park's farm manager, who actually told me that there is milk, quite a lot of milk, if I'm interested. And it's an organic farm, and it's right literally 10 minutes from Corsham. And he put me in touch with James Fuller. And in a year time, they converted an old cow shed into the old cheese room, and it's on lease. And actually, I've got old pictures from the end of 1880s, where the cows were collecting on the yard of the cheese room where we are now, and they were being milked there, and they were a lot darker in color jerseys compared to the ones.
Nestor Park, if I remember rightly, there's the main shop, but there's also a little cheese shop in Bradford upon Avon or something like that. Is that still one there?
Yes, there's a lovely cheese shop in Bradford on Avon. That's Christoph, who actually used to own and run the Corsham Deli. But when he sold it, he took the cheese shop, that's the name, in Bradford on Avon. So he's one of our very local cheese shop. And the Nestor Park is the farm shop is on hold at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen. The owner closed it for the time being, and we haven't heard what's next.
That's very sad to hear.
It is sad.
Right. I'm going to bring up Jane. She has told us that it's Paranica. Is that right?
Yes.
Whoa. Thank you, Jane. So obviously, this is obviously a well-known thing. Now, I've also got a question here from Alison. What's that dippy cheese you're eating? So let's get the top off. This is your simplest cheese, isn't it?
Yes. It's technically milk turned into the simplest cheese ever, cow's curd, Jersey cow's curd. But it's really silky, really creamy. It's got a pale yellow color compared to Friesland and other cow's milk, and it's quite versatile in what you use it. It's got a tiny tang of acidity at the end.
All right, so if I can get
there you go. I put a bowl as well. I put it out in a little bowl, so
there we go.
All fresh and ready to. As a child, I kind of grown up on this kind of thing. That wasn't Jersey milk, but we just crack an egg on it and a bit of sugar, icing sugar, and that was a sweet thing at the end of dinner.
Just crack an egg in it and put some icing sugar. So I find this quite an interesting cheese because it definitely tastes best when it's youngest, doesn't it?
It's the freshest, yes. Yes, however, the shelf life is pretty good if you're keeping it refrigerated and in a sealed container. We usually advise the 4 weeks shelf life.
Wow! And so, how does it change over those 4 weeks in flavor terms?
It starts toward the end of the 4 week. It's still with the 4 weeks. We experimented it for a long time, for many times. There is no mold growing on the cheese, so that indicates the freshness. But toward the end of 4 weeks and onwards, it starts maturing on. So you have the white penicillin mold start covering the cheese. And you get that matte as opposed to shiny yellow, matte yellow color. So that's indicating the cheese is being matured. So basically keeping it on 4 degree, you preserve the freshness, but to a certain extent.
So when I know I used to sell a lot of Rosary Goat's cheese, which I very much rate.
Lovely.
And when you first get it into the counter, the texture is much fluffier, open and sort of mousse-like and that kind of thing. And after a few days, it begins to contract. And after about a week, it's got a much denser texture. Do you experience that with your curd?
It happens, but toward the end of the 4 weeks. For some reason, we find it keeps its freshness pretty well.
Okay. Well, good. Bring it on. Okay. The next one you've got for us is
Wasabi pearl.
Yeah,
yes, man. That's just a fresh cheese, and we flavor it with wasabi. Wasabi paste is really what we use, because we found out, we tried the fresh wasabi from the Wiltshire wasabi person, and unfortunately we find if we grate the fresh wasabi on the top of the Jersey curd, it's delicious, no doubt, but the flavor disappears. It reaches a peak and then it goes away. So we couldn't sell it with the curd for a longer shelf, with a longer shelf life. So we settled with the paste.
Focus. Can you see that, people? Oh, not quite. Let's have a look at yours. Oh, much better.
There we are.
So there's a slight greenness to.
There's a slight greenness from the wasabi paste itself, and it gives a little heat, moderate heat. I like it overly heated, but my husband is always the one who moderate.
Never been very good at moderate, me. But it's interesting because it's the first cheese I've had that's used wasabi. And I'm wondering why lots of people don't. You could grade it from just a hint, that sort of mustard horseradish moment, right up to that wasabi peanut thing where all you're tasting is the wasabi. I think there's lots. It's very cunning.
You taste the wasabi, it grows the wasabi strength, and then you fall back onto the curd, the cow's curd. So it's quite a nice, I think, balanced palette there, and for that reason you can use it on nice crackers. A nice toast would be lovely, but we love it with bagel. Yes, bagel and smoked salmon scrambled egg is our favorite. Yes.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be good. I don't know that I agree with you. I think that I get a little bit of wasabi, but I think the cream then comes through. But I think the finish is very wasabi. I'm feeling that in the mouth, that whole tongue experience.
But do you get or is it maybe it's just my imagination, but I tried it too. But do you have the wasabi building up, then disappears, so you get to taste the curd?
So I go wasabi up, then down,
and then it comes back and stays. Okay.
But you kindly sent me 2 pots of this, so I've been eating it all week, and I think it's delicious.
Oh, thank you.
I hadn't thought of putting it with smoked salmon, so that is tomorrow's job.
I technically lived off of wasabi, goat's curd and wasabi in the States. Next door to the farm, there was a guy who did his own crackers in his own kitchen and oven, and he used to bring fresh almost every day. And we got the fresh crackers and the wasabi squirted out from the tube, and wonderful wasabi cheese, goat cheese.
Right. I'm going to have a glass of water because I don't want that wasabi interrupting your next cheese.
Okay.
Right. We've got one to finish with called the Bybrook, but let's go to your big number one, your bestseller, the
Baronet.
Sorry, got to think of the Baronet. Right, now this is a monster. Everyone see that?
And I'll show the piece I have. I have a quarter cut into.
So this is billed. I've read people like Pong talk about this, and the word they use is reblochon. So let's have a quick reminder of what reblochon is. Reblochon comes from the Haute Savoie. It's very much the same size as this, so 800 to a kilo. It's washed rind, but not heavily so. So there's still there's moisture in the cheese, but it doesn't go gooey like an époisse. And it's particularly renowned as a really good cooking cheese. You lay it over things like what's that? Tartiflette, things like that, and actually sits quite nicely on pizza as well. But this one is going to be made with British milk, which means we're expecting more cream, more butter. If I turn that down,
coming from the Jerseys. So this is what I have
just
here.
Not choosing to focus today. Yeah, going with your camera. So I think, people, we've got a firmer center with holes appearing and a creamy just under the skin, making that kind of
squeegee elastic. But even the firmer bit, I always refer to it as a crumbly middle. But if you actually bite on it, the creaminess is there.
Well, I find that whenever you take a French recipe and bring it to the UK, you always get more butteriness.
Really? With all the...
Pretty much universally. But then again, I like to generalize and make controversial statements.
And the lush grasses and grazing areas in England with all the rain, and the feed is really good, which contributes to the creaminess and fatness of the cheese, isn't it?
I really like this. This isn't... Reblochon's not a good reference point. It's not. It's much more like the northern French, the maroilles, maybe, or maybe like a young époisse. You don't, with a reblochon, get that difference in breakdown in the same way.
No, it's all the way breakdown. And what caught me on reblochon is the milkiness, the creaminess, the melting texture in my mouth. It was just easy to eat.
So on the nose, it's got the classic boy's feet coming with a hint of cellar mustiness. I would say almost like a bit of pork kind of going on there.
A little bit of. I didn't hear the last word.
But inside you've got hardly any smell at all. It's the very clean creaminess. So do you think there's any competition for this in the UK? What other cheeses do you think might be similar to your cheese?
There are quite a lot on there. Quite a lot of wash rind cheeses. When I started 9 years ago, there weren't many English wash rind cheeses at all. I always thought it's Mileen's, a little bit of Durus and Gubin is what I had in front of my mind. Yes, all the Irish. Yes. And when raw rice started, I think raw rice looked like a little bit like Baronet. There was similarity in color of the rind and texture and the core, but I think it's turning toward more of a Vacherin Mondor as opposed to Baronet. And there are Canard Gore. I'm not very good at pronouncing. I'm sorry.
You don't think anyone else is either.
That's another one. And there's one in Oxford Isis by the
little cheese.
Yes.
Not many.
What
I
else
think you're pretty much on your own here. All right, I've got some questions. Let's start with Anna. Why did you name it Baronet?
Well, that's it's my landlord, Sir James Fuller, BT. And when I signed the contract, being Hungarian, I haven't had a clue about baronetcy in England. And I asked him on the spot what is BT stands for, and he just made a joke of, British Telecom. And kind of he walked away, and I knew the time is up. Let's go. And when I came away, I googled it, and I found out about the baronetcy at Nestor Park estate, and James Fuller is the 4th baronet. So I thought that's actually kind of a good name
good
for the cheese.
story.
Good story.
It's a lot of better name than British Telecom.
Well, there you go.
So I've got that. You used to call it surreal.
Yes. Well, that was the color when I matured the cheese and I went away for a long weekend. And when I came back, and James and David Bartlett were looking after the cheeses, I came back. I went into the room, and all of a sudden you see this bright pink colored cheese. And the first thing that came to my mind was, this is surreal, really surreal. I mean, you never really see a pink cheese in rind, like a bright.
I'm wearing a shirt in your honor. It matches.
Matching. Very good.
I wrapped my cheese to my shirt. Yeah.
That's very nice.
I've got another question here. Which rosé, Juliana, are you pairing with rosé?
Well, I'm drinking a rosé Franciacorta sort of thing. It is. I like mild sort of rosés. Nice color and not too strong. But I pair Baronet usually with a sort of oily, and I like full-bodied wine in general. So it's usually much more towards. I like Furmint, being Hungarian, is definitely one thing I would go for. I really like what is it called? The wines. The name is gone out the window. You have to help me out here. Is it
like a Tokai or something?
I'm not a big fan of Tokai in Hungarian. It's a bit odd. I find it very sweet, and I'm not taken to sweet wines. No. And then red wine wise is usually a Pinot Noir. I like a nice Pinot Noir, or Italian wines is definitely the Negro Nero area and the Primitivo.
And how we got fait accompli on here, Barney. So how do the Hungarians take your cheese?
So have my no, well, when I send it to parents and family, they do ask me about why don't I start selling it in Hungary, but we didn't really find a way, but not like we were looking for it. So if anyone knows anything, let us know. We're happy to send the cheese.
Magic teleporting moment just makes it appear in Hungary. Right. I've got one last question here from Claire. Do you wash it in brine? What is your wash?
It is brine solution, salt and water, and lukewarm, sort of.
Lukewarm? What sort of temperature?
I never measure the temperature, but it's boiling the kettle and then adjust it to a lukewarm in order so I can put my hand in. It's usually feel and touch, I'm afraid. Yes. Yes, I don't measure the temperature with the brine solution, I have to say. Neither the salt. I measured it once, and since I've been taking my little finger to try, yes, the water, how salty it is.
So you don't even measure out your brine solution? It's by taste? It's
by taste, and it's what I Yes, it's by taste. And if my husband prepares it, he has his whole measurements in order. So he's a lot more accurate than I am. But I usually just taste and feel and see the amount of salt goes in, how much water I have in the bucket, and just give it a taste. If it's too salty, I dilute it a little bit more water, but be aware of the temperature. It's not too cold and it's not too hot.
Do you have you ever considered using like a cider wash or a wine wash or a brandy wash?
Yes, we did a cider wash. We're not far from Iford Manor House, and they do music events during the summer, and they have a lovely garden to visit, and they do cider. So we one of the local pub recommended it to us, and we washed the cheese in it, and it's really nice. But I'm a little bit skeptical about washing cheese other than brine, because I really think you need to be rigorous with the amount of alcohol you put in order to really taste the effect on the cheese. Because if someone tells me it's washed in Burgundy, I do want to taste the Burgundy, not just on the rind. I like to have the whole effect. So I tried when I started working at the old cheese room at Nestor Park. I tried with London, not London Pride, the Fuller's Brewery had the porter, London Porter, which is like a Guinness type of cheese, a beer, sorry. And my idea was to actually, when I brine the cheese, then instead of having it drying, I soaked it a little bit longer in porter, but I diluted the porter. So it's actually had to work out how much of alcohol, how much soaking, how many hours you need, so that it's not overpowering, because I went too far as well. But at the end, I had a really good idea about how much porter to use and how long the cheese is being soaked, in order that later on 3-4 weeks, you really taste both. So they're kind of in balance. But if I just carry on and washing the rind, I lose interest very quickly, because at the end result, I don't really taste what I'm expecting.
Okay. So you found what you like and you're sticking to it.
That's probably the best way to put it.
Right. You got one last cheese, and I can't find this on your website. Does that mean that it's new, the Bybrook?
It's on the website. It's on the website. We're selling it. It's we sell it by quarters and halves and a whole kilo, and it's called Bybrook because it's very close. The farm has a little area which runs along the Bybrook stream, which runs around the corner and the corner of the farm, and it's a kind of Emmental style cheese. So you got the sweetness and you got the Emmental texture. Not as big holes as you would imagine in Emmental, and a little bit of a Gruyere finish because we do wash the rind.
I'm not doing this for a stupid reason. It's got the most wonderful smell. It reminds me of a sweet dairy smell, but also the smell of haymaking when you're picking up the bales recently baled, and dump it down, and that smell of dry grass that comes off in June or July.
Lovely. We do make the cheese when the cows are out on the grass, so not when they silage fed.
Okay, so we're going to be able to take a picture of this because there we go, that's better. So we're getting lots of little holes coming up, and those are being developed by the bacteria in the cheese.
Yes, it's a special bacteria for developing the holes, but you can find various bacteria regarding how many holes you would like, bigger, smaller. So my husband were going on a moderate level of holes. It looks really pretty.
He's being moderate again, your husband, isn't it? I think, throw him out.
He's much more moderate.
Really big holes. No, because it's very difficult. There aren't many hole producing cheese in the UK. I mean, we've got one local to us in Sussex, which is Mayfield. You get that Mayfield, one with yes. sort of but I'm guessing this is what, 4 kilo cheese, something like that.
Yes, 3.84.
And we've got this a very good looking rind here.
Yes, lovely.
Yeah, very nice. I mean, you're not wrapping it into something. You must be washing it initially, I'm guessing.
Yes, we're washing it early on, and later on it just gets a little brushing on the surface.
So this is the alpine technique of morge. Yes. Morge. Where you're building a rind using washing, but then let it firm up and becomes a sort of a carapace or what do caterpillars use? You know what I'm talking about. To trap the cheese, trap the air in the cheese, and get the flavors to build up internally, like a little cooking oven.
We have a beechy wood, whereas the cheese is matured on. It's actually coming from Somerset Dairy, from 1960s, and we had to do a lot of work on it to save the boards, and you can still see the cheddar prints, how they were sitting on the boards and matured.
Okay, I've got Kaneko here asking how long is it matured?
Hi, 3 months minimum, but we like to keep it longer. So the one you tried
3 months doesn't feel very long at all.
The one you're trying was
3 months.
27, 27, yes, 3 months. Yes.
So the one you sent me, when would this have been made?
That was made, wait a minute, because it can't be 3 months, because it was made in 27th of March.
April, May. That really is
It's
June.
coming up to 3 months.
Well, it's going to show. Don't be asking anything. I would have put about 6 on that. That's fascinating. Really good flavour development for only a 3-month cheese.
Do you get the sweetness?
You wouldn't get much at that time.
Do you get the sweetness on the palate?
Yeah, sweet. Nice. I'm still getting some of that hay, bits more strawy now, and I think there's a strong umami element, almost like a yeasty or something that sits in there with the sweetness. Who can people buy this through? Do you wholesale this store?
Locally, at the moment, locally. We have country cheeses taken some in Devon and Tavistock, Topsham, and there is the Cotswold Pudding and Pie Company in Winchcombe near Sedli Castle, and yes,
local
and
mates.
now there's a mail order company who's trying to get hold of and put it in their month selection box.
Well, these are amazing cheeses, Julianna. Thank you very much for taking the time to tell us about them and asking the very intelligent questions our wonderful audience are pushing forward. They're all fantastic. If I had to choose my favourite, I'm going for the Bybrook.
Nice.
And the Baronet is great. Well, I'm very pleased I've been one. But this is the kind of cheese that I can just finish without actually noticing I've finished. Do you know that kind of moment?
Nice.
That's amazing cheese. So well done. Really, really good job. Such diversity as well.
Thank you. Thank you. We found during the COVID, we were kind of forced to get onto the diversity. We always had Baronet and Mini Baronet and Jersey Curd. And now that we have the website and supplying local people, we managed to offer a little selection of our cheeses.
And this Bybrook, I'm assuming if you need to hold stuff back, you could hold it back for 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even
longer. Yes.
How long have you? What's the oldest you kept it for?
I think the oldest we kept it was a year and a half ago, and I believe it was about 6.5 months.
And
a little bit of dryness appeared, but that might be down to how we kept it rather than how the cheese was maturing naturally. I think it dried out a little bit on the side, so there was a little bit of cracking.
Have you noticed, Julianna, that your husband is on the chat?
Oh, is he now?
Yeah,
no,
man.
I didn't. I don't see who's on. That's great.
I think the Bybrook backs is. Oh, I'll put it on. Here we go. There you go. He's
there he is. Well, you see. Sorry. Big mistake.
5 months. You see, I was right all along. And he's made the point that it's rubbed with olive oil.
And it's rubbed with olive oil.
Yeah. And that, again, is about creating a firm carapace for it to mature in the middle. Loving it. Thank you, Kareem, for contributing.
Thank you, darling. My apology.
Well, on that fantastic husband and wife note, and you have a little child of your own as well? You have 2 children?
2 children, yes. 5 and 1 is 4 to be.
Okay.
In the beginning of
I've got
August.
a 5 and a 3-year-old as well, so I should bring them out. They can learn to make cheese together. Never too young.
They're very keen. They're very keen and happy helping in wrapping.
Mm-hmm.
They love the wrapping and sticking labels side.
It's basically Christmas. All right. Well, on that note, Julianna, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for sending your cheeses.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you very much, Charlie, and thank you for the Academy of Cheese as well. And all the best to you guys. All the best to you. Bye.
Right. Oh, bye. Said that too quickly. Right, guys. Thank you very much for listening in. Julianna, obviously a very experienced cheesemaker, spent a lot of time developing 2 really interesting in my opinion, highly unique cheeses. This one, no precedent in the UK. Loving what she's doing there. Really interesting cheese. And of course, the Reblochon style, which I think isn't completely inappropriate. It's nothing like a Reblochon. It's much more gooey and interesting with a really English milk taste using the Jersey. Really a lot going on. So great job. Add that to your repertoire. Have it next time you're out for a pint. And I'll just wrap up by saying, don't forget to train with the Academy of Cheese. I've got 2 spaces on my course on the 1st of July, which is very exciting. But I know people like Patrick McGuigan are now doing webinar courses as well. Very talented journalist. Don't know why he's coming over to teaching. And I've got Kanako that who's been on tonight. She's doing it as well. But if you want to learn by the book, there is e-learning as well. So come learn about cheese, find out about the beauty of the curd, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Oh, next week, we've got Rupert Linton, Brindisa, Spanish cheeses. Loving that. Brindisa is a fantastic importer. Rupert and Monica, they bring in some really awesome cheeses. We're talking about central Spain, raw milk cheeses. We're going to do a Manchego, we're going to do a Molingo, and a Torta de Barroth. Looking forward to the Torta de Barroth. Particularly, I love those tortas, those wash dry, vegetable rennet, that cardoon thistle, really interesting cheeses. Come and learn, come and taste, get some for next week. Love you all. See you soon. Cheese night is cheese night. Bye now. End broadcast. Sorry, forgot that bit.